The Nunnehi are the fairy spirits of the Native Americans. Not only are they the embodiments of the myths, legends, dreams, and possibilities of the native tribes of North America, they also spring from the vision quests and spirit workings integral to those cultures. The word Nunnehi means people who live anywhere, and they inhabit remote wilderness areas as well as living on the fringes of human society, often combining nomadic and settled cultures. Their townships and enclaves serve as bases for groups of wandering hunters and warriors, who act as guardians against the encroachment of outsiders, including European changelings. Like the mortals whose dreams they personify, the Nunnehi share a reverence for and understanding of the natural world of rocks, plants, and animals. In some ways they serve as a spirit link between nature and their chosen tribes. Long before the coming of the Kithen, the Nunnehi nations lived in harmony with the Native American tribes. Though somewhat varied due to differences in concepts and beliefs, many Nunnehi had traits in common. Many were invisible or could become so, some could change size from a few inches tall to gigantic. Almost all were believed to grant favors or bestow curses. Closely tied to both the natural world and the world of the spirits, some served as go-betweens for communications with higher beings or the spirits of the dead. Tribes left gifts to placate their spirit brethren, asked them for guidance, and feared their retribution should anyone insult or anger them. In return, the Nunnehi nations watched over their flesh brothers, lending their assistance when needed and teaching tribal dreamers healing and growing magics. Nunnehi are very different from their European cousins. They do not gather glamour, but harvest medicine. They evince different types than the European fairies as well, having no boggans, lua, she, or redcaps. Instead, they are water babies or invisible people depending on which region and tribe they descend from. They refer to these types as families rather than kith. Nor do Nunnehi refer to themselves as the Kithen. They are the Nunnehi nations. Indeed, they hardly seem to grasp the concept of being singular, instead referring to a single Nunnehi as one to show that the Nunnehi in question is one of the principal people of the Nunnehi nations. In this, they are much like their flesh brothers, who see themselves as part of and in relationship to the tribe before being individuals. Sadly, they also resemble the tribes in their dislocation from many of their former territories and in their declining numbers. The major difference between Nunnehi and other changelings lies in their relationship to the dreaming. Unlike other changelings, who are merely exiled from Arcadia and who can still occasionally touch the dreaming, Nunnehi have lost their connection to their homeland, called the higher hunting grounds, in the dreaming. There is speculation that this may stem from the actual destruction of the higher hunting grounds due to the loss of so many native tribes and the erosion of their beliefs. To compensate, Nunnehi have gained the ability to draw glamour, which they call medicine, directly from the natural world, and are also able to enter the spirit world under certain conditions. The Nunnehi still mourn their loss of the dreaming and commemorate it through their love for and skill in song, dance, story and artistic endeavors. Ironically, most Nunnehi tend to be extremely creative in at least one of these areas, thus making them sources of glamour, or medicine, for other changelings. The story of the Nunnehi is one of coping with a series of invasions. In each region, certain areas were set aside as homelands or territories for the Nunnehi. These were usually thought to be places of power and great natural beauty such as waterfalls, strange rock formations, stands of woods, particular coves along the shoreline, caves, great trees, or islands found in mid-river or emerging from a dismal swamp. In some cases, this brought them into competition with Garu, who claimed kins in many of the same regions. For the most part, though, the two groups cooperated rather than competing, and the Croton, Uktena and Wendigo found natural allies among the Nunnehi. To this day, it is far more likely to find the Native American Garu and the Nunnehi allied than at odds with one another. This is not true with regard to those Garu who are called the latecomers, the Fianna, Get of Fenris, Silver Fangs, and others. More intrusive and more dangerous to the native fairies were those of their own kind. Many Nunnehi were originally friendly to those who fled to North America to escape banality. Those noble she and their households often came as supplicants searching for new lands to shelter them. The Nunnehi frequently welcomed their foreign cousins and taught them how to live in the new environment. Treaties were signed and friendship gifts exchanged. Soon, however, greater numbers came across the sea, and these settled wherever they pleased with little regard for the native fairies' feelings. Like their human counterparts who would later arrive in the New World, the European fairies arrogantly assumed that their culture and ways were superior and more civilized. Without understanding that the traditions and customs of the Nunnehi were at least as old, if not older, than their own, the immigrants dismissed the rich culture and society of the so-called backward savages. Some even took Nunnehi as captives and thralls to teach them European values and how to be civilized. Relations between the Kithen and the Nunnehi nations deteriorated wherever the newcomers took no thought for the feelings and rights of the native fairies. The Nunnehi fought back against the usurpers who took their lands, banding together into war parties to attack European freeholds and travelers. Though most of the older settlements where the Kithen were friendly to the Nunnehi were safe from such attack, some hotheads among the nations made war upon any non-natives. With the coming of human European settlers, many of the commoners also arrived. These too encroached upon the Nunnehi just as the humans did. Though the alien fairies appreciated the beauty of their new surroundings, they could not glean glamour from it as could the Nunnehi. Unwittingly, the settlers felled stands of ancient trees and plowed over fields where Nunnehi had once danced and harvested medicine. Warfare also took its toll among the Nunnehi. Tribe fought tribe as they were pushed into one another's territories and forced into competition for resources. Many natives supported European powers rather than the American settlers in the war for independence, hoping that the powers would give back their lands in return for their help. When the war was lost, these were stripped of their remaining territories, and many were forced into slavery or sent far away. The Nunnehi fought alongside their flesh brothers and shared their fate. Over time, the Europeans uprooted the native tribes, either decimating them with diseases they had no protection against or displacing them from their hunting grounds and homelands. Many Nunnehi who had formerly been peaceful responded with anger and enmity, waging war against the European changelings and their human kin. Others withdrew deeper into the forests, or disappeared from the knowledge of their foreign cousins. Some accompanied their displaced flesh brothers to exile in their new homes. Those whose people were displaced and who either would not or could not follow their human kin have either died out or withdrawn so deeply into the spirit world that they are no longer seen on earth. A very few of these remain in hidden enclaves, but they are ancient now and malevolent toward all. These have wholly given themselves over to their winter natures and wait only for their eventual deaths. It is unknown whether these Nunnehi spirits can inhabit the bodies of other tribal people, or if their passing will mark the end of their immortal fairy souls. These are the most dangerous Nunnehi, especially to non-natives, because they have nothing more to lose. While less deliberately malevolent, other Nunnehi continue to attack and fight the usurpers. It isn't hard to understand their resentment and hatred for the aliens who took their land, ripped away their glamour, decimated their tribal brethren and almost destroyed them. Their once free glens, which served them as dancing circles, tribal meeting places and encampments, have been made over into freeholds by the Europeans. Many Nunnehi were nomadic, moving according to the seasons or availability of game. The concept of a fixed place, of remaining in one abode, is foreign to them still. Much less do they understand reservations or why their people are confined to such poor areas with so little to sustain them. For the last 100 years, the Nunnehi have been in decline as their tribes lost most of their population, shunned their old beliefs and turned away from their ancient traditions. Only in the last few decades has there been a resurgence of Native American pride and a renewal of interest in the old ways. With it has come the rebirth of Nunnehi who were thought to have been lost forever as their stories faded from memory, and the birth of new Nunnehi from the visions, dreams and beliefs of modern tribal people. From this renaissance of belief has arisen new hope that the Nunnehi are no longer a dead and dying people, but one that has endured their long winter and now is emerging again into spring.